Hi Flosstube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and this is Stitch, Read, Repeat here on Flosstube. You can also find me over on Instagram. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new, I welcome you. I hope that you're happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. Thanks for coming back and sitting with me for a little while. Hopefully you brought some stitching to work on, or maybe you're just excited to see what I've got going. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here to talk about today. And so let's just jump right in. But first of all, I want to say thank you so much to all of you for your sweet comments as you welcomed me and congratulated me for my first year on Flosstube. I've been talking to myself in a bedroom in my house for a year now and sharing that with all of you on the interwebs. So thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for welcoming me. So happy that it's been a year and I've really had a lot of fun and met a lot of really wonderful people doing this. So I had 2 giveaways last time, and so I want to just jump right in and let those folks know that they won. The first person that won, this was for the daffodils chart. This was a chart that I had stitched for the shop Floss and Flame in Dover, Delaware. And so Jen, the owner there, has said that I could pass the chart along. So this is going to Jeanette Smith 501. So Jeanette, your name will be here on the screen. Send me an email, stitchreadrepeat@gmail.com, and I will get this shipped out to you. The other thing that I was giving away, I've got to figure out where to put all my stuff. The other thing I was giving away was a $25 gift card to Lindy Stitches. And this was just my way of saying thank you. And the winner of this was Robin Fierce 5462. So Robin, congratulations. Put your name here on the screen. And again, send me an email. Let me know that that's you. stitchreadrepeat@gmail.com. Thank you all for your sweet, sweet comments. I really enjoyed interacting with you this past month and appreciate you being here. The other exciting news I have today is I have a discount code for you for a shop that I love very much. I talk about it all the time. I've become friends with the owner, so disclaimer there. But her name's Jen. She opened a shop in Dover, Delaware last fall called Floss and Flame. And floss being the cross-stitch things, flames being candles. She sells both. She has a location here in Delaware that I frequent quite often, but she also has a wonderful website. And she has offered me a discount code for all of you. So this is the code STITCH10, STITCH10. That's going to be good on her website until July 26th of this year. It's good for 10% off your order, and Jen does offer free shipping for all cross-stitch items. So she ships super fast, really quickly. She ships all over the country. So no matter where you're watching from, if you need something, check her out. She carries a lot of floss lines. She has quite a bit of fabric. I just bought some new Fox and Rabbit. So if you're like me and you have a fabric problem, check her out. She's also happy to order anything you might need. So give her some love. She's rolling into her first full year of business. So proud of her. And Jen, thank you for that code. Again, guys, that's code STITCH10. So, yeah, it's been a crazy month. I just recently got back from StitchCon. I was there at Weekend B in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is a retreat put on by the local needlework shop called Keepsakes, which is in Cincinnati. And the retreat has expanded to the point where they now have 2 back-to-back weekends. So Weekend A and Weekend B, the same experience both weekends. I have been going to Weekend B. This was my 4th year at StitchCon. And it was just a great time. So fun seeing some old friends, meeting some new friends, and just celebrating our love of cross stitch. It does have kind of the concept of floss tubers and fans all coming together. I fangirl just as much as I'm a floss tuber. So to all of you that took time to say, I watch your channel, thank you so much. I was really touched by all the support, and it was so wonderful meeting so many of you. I wanted to give a special shout out to Perlinda. She found me at StitchCon, and then we ended up chatting for quite a while at the airport before leaving Cincinnati on Sunday. So I hope you made it home well. I hope everyone at home is well too. And also to June for coming over and speaking a little bit to me at the airport. I met so many wonderful people. I can't remember everyone's names, but to those 2 special ladies who I chatted with briefly, thanks for saying something. So I'm going to try to kind of go through this in a semi-organized manner, but bear with me. You're going to see a lot of stitching. you're going to see a lot of shopping. You're also going to see a lot of gifts that I received over the weekend, and the creativity of stitchers is incredible. And so it was really fun to see what people thought of for their gifts this year and for things that they might want to pass out to others. And if you need an idea for a future retreat, I thought I could share some of that with you. So here we go. First of all, I had a finish, and I don't even have the chart with me anymore because I gave the chart to someone at my table. But this is Stitching in the Round by JBW, and I stitched. Well, it'd be helpful if I could tell you all the details, and I'm just over here blabbing them out. Okay, so a little backstory on this chart for me. I had purchased this at StitchCon 2 years ago and never stitched it, and I don't know why, because it stitched up so quickly. This is done on a 36 count Picture This Plus linen in the colorway Helix, using 2 almond M&M's silk flosses in the color Rose and Scarlet. Let me get my little board here. It's just a little guy. And here's my finish. Isn't that cute? I did this in 2 sessions. I stitched all the dark pink when I was with my girlfriends in April, and then I added all the light pink pieces when I got there because I wanted to finish at StitchCon. Is that cheating? Maybe. But super quick little stitch, really cute. All the little stitchy motifs. I love these big chunky fat scissors at the bottom. This was really fun. So if you've never stitched one of these, I highly recommend. Not sure how I'll finish this yet, but I was really happy to have this one done. So that is my one finish for this video. Something that I thought I was going to have a finish on, and then I realized very quickly that that was not going to happen, and I decided not to kill myself all weekend to try to get this done. This is a chart I've had for a long time. I have talked about it a lot, and so I want to show you the progress that I'm really proud of. Like I said, it's not fully finished, but it's getting there. And I was able to meet a goal that I wanted, you know, for the most part, I was able to do what I wanted to do. So this chart is called Holiest Night. It's by Monticello Stitches. And my board isn't even big enough. It's a big piece. Full nativity at the bottom, big square. And all I have left, as you can tell, is this middle section where all of those lovely words are over 1. So I really was working at StitchCon. I had this little bit of this corner to finish, and so I finished the camel and the wise men, and my borders matched, which God bless America, because that was a feat. This chart is so interesting to me because it really tells the story of my stitching and my history, and the good and the bad, right? The things that we learn over the years. Like I said, I started this 2 years ago, and I've really become a much more, I guess I could say I'm a more talented stitcher now. I've stitched a lot, right? As we stitch, we pick up tips and tricks and tools, and so this chart is not perfect. In fact, it's not even quite wide enough. I didn't go far enough over, and so everything is a little wonky in the middle. So as you can see on this top row of text, I run right up against the border. This box is not wide enough. Don't ask me why. I can't count. So I thought about this. I said, well, do I leave it? But the more I look at it, the more I don't like it. And I think I have space to maybe bump it out 1 more spot. So I think I'm going to frog this line and move it over 1, which is really 2 because there's a space in between. Just so that it's not quite so right up against the border. But I'm going to get that verse in there. It's a line from Oh Holy Night, and then it'll be done. But I showed this to Susan Coates, who is an employee at Keepsakes. She did the color conversion for me, and I just think it's beautiful. So I wanted to show you especially this nativity portion at the bottom. The characters are so quirky looking. The colors are perfect, and I'm just so happy. So here it is, nativity. There's some sparkle in there, lots of Kreinik in this piece. I'm so excited to get this done. I do plan to work on it regularly, doing those over 1 words. But I worked on this until probably, probably Friday morning. No, it would have been Friday afternoon. And I realized, I said, there's no way I'm going to get this done without just completely killing myself all weekend. And I said, I don't want to be so tied down to a project. And I talked a lot with my friends about why do we give ourselves these arbitrary deadlines or these arbitrary rules or, I mean, I think goals are good. I love a good goal, but I also kind of had a come to Jesus moment with myself and said, it's not necessary. So I want to enjoy this. I am going to enjoy it, get those over one words in. I love stitching words. It's just a lot of text. But this piece is coming to a close. I do plan to get it framed so it can be displayed for Christmas this year. It's the largest, it's likely the largest sampler I've ever completed. I did the Entwined Hearts by the Scarlet House, and that's more of a rectangular, but I think that this one by stitch count takes the cake. This is on a 36 count, that was on a 32. I've learned a lot with this chart, and I'm so grateful for it, and to Susan for her wonderful conversion. The rest of these whips are just kind of in random order, so you're going to get them as I get them. Hold on. Okay. So this was one of my whip go calls for the month of June. And this is Stoneware Pin Pillows 3 by Priscilla's Pocket. And so and the price tag is right on here, sorry about that, but I started on this flower right here. Now you're gonna look at how big this is and say, Caitlin, why didn't you finish it? And I'm gonna tell you, I really don't know. Yeah, I have no words for you, so sorry about that. I've also got some random stitches in here because I was showing someone at the airport actually about what cross stitch is, and they wanted to like understand it, so I put some little tiny stitches. It was this younger girl, and she was curious what the craft was. So these bottom stitches don't count. But here is my start of my flower. My really sad start, guys. I'm so sorry. This is a 6x6 Q-snap, so you can see these are going to be little. But excited, you know, I love it. It turned out so nicely. And this is on a 40 count platinum, I think is the fabric, and it's using, you would think I've never done this before. I'm all over the place. I am using Classic Colorworks Old Blue Jeans for the floss. And so I will continue working on this. This is so enjoyable. It's one strand of floss. It's one color of floss. So you just kind of follow along. And that's been a really fun chart. I would also like to say to my friend Jean, thank you so much. She noticed that I was stitching on this, and there's a Priscilla's pillows 1 and 2 she had in her stash, so she passed those on to me. So I'm gonna have to find a big way to display all these pillows, but thank you, Jean. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. Another piece that I worked on this weekend was, let me dig it out here. I really brought this because I wanted to show my friend the color that I chose for the fabric because it's not the called for. This is the First Noel sampler. This is by the SEM Player. This is that chart that's hand-drawn because it comes from 1989. First Noel, angels and shepherds, telling the shepherds the good news of Christ's birth. And it was, the kit came with a piece of fabric, but because it's, you know, from 1989, it had been folded and it had some miscoloration in the creases of the fold that you can't fix. So I ended up changing it to a fabric from Atomic Ranch called Tea Rose, and this is a linen. And I did get a little more work on this, and I'm really loving how it's looking. So I am a Swiftie if you didn't know, so there's my Taylor Swift needle minder, but here is the top left corner. So got all those flowers in, filled them in. I think this is going to be really lovely on this kind of purpley red fabric. So I think the red flowers look super nice on that color, and I'm excited to continue working on this. This, like I said, was a kit. It came with the DMC, and that's what I'm using, and it looks lovely. So this was another fun one. It was an easy one to work on. Once I got those flowers in, I just had to fill them in. So I worked on it one evening during one of the programs at StitchCon, just to, you know, didn't have to really think too much, just fill it in. All right, what's next? Okay, next was a chart that I worked on. This was a previous Whip Go call from this year that I had to restart because I can't count. And so this is the bird neck sampler from Bright Needle. It's a sweet little alphabet sampler. And I had originally started this and realized that I didn't cut my fabric large enough. And that was a rookie mistake. And so I had to restart. And so again, one night in the late night room, this is on a 32 count, a little easier for my eyes to see. So I started the border again. Again, it's just figuring out what the color is and stitching the triangle. So not a lot of thought goes into this, and it comes together fairly quickly. So I got that one restarted, and I'm not sure when I'll pick it up again, but at least now I know it's restarted and I don't have to, you know, begrudge the chart, because it's not the chart's fault, it's baby Caitlin's fault. Okay, so the next one was actually a new start. This was a sweet gift from a friend that I spent time with in April. So Courtney asked us all for our preferred color palettes, which was odd, but okay, Courtney, here's what I like. I like pinks and greens and creams. And she ended up gifting all of us a chart, the same fabric, and then she made a color palette of floss based on all of our personal preferences. And so this chart is Stitching with Friends. It's by Little Stitch Girl. And so we all started it this weekend, and it's so fun to see them come together and see, you know, we all start different places. We all, obviously our colors were different. And so it's just been really, really fun. And I'm so grateful for this friendship. I'm sorry, I'm falling apart here. And so this is where I got to, the B. So this is on 40 count. I think it's, let me tell you, Garden Party by Bee Stitch Me. It's a beautiful cut of fabric. So I'll put a picture in here of the four of us with our starts. And so Courtney had bought us this, and unbeknownst to either of them, our friend Morgan had all made us project bags. So we all have the same project bag, which isn't this just lovely? So thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Morgan. And shout out to Rebecca too for doing this stitch along with all of us. So this was really fun, a fun new start at StitchCon with friends, really special time. Okay, so next in my stack of things, I think we're just gonna jump right into StitchCon itself. I've got some purchases and some freebies in here, so hopefully you'll stick around. I will tell you, if you make it through all of this, there is a giveaway at the end. So I'll try to be succinct and not belabor the point. There's a lot of StitchCon recap happening on the Flosstube world, in the Flosstube world, but just my personal experience. So I was able to fly to StitchCon this year. Like I said, I live in Delaware. StitchCon's in Ohio. It's about an 8.5, 9-hour drive, depending on traffic. And last year I drove, and coming home, I really struggled because I was so sleepy. So I said, this year I'm going to fly. And I think it would have been faster to drive because I had so many mishaps with the travel. But I made it there. I made it home safe. That's all that matters. The only thing I will tell you is when you're flying and when you park in the long-term parking, make sure you have your car keys before you close your trunk at 2 in the morning, because Caitlin didn't do that. So I made good friends with the people at the long-term parking. Shout out to them at the Philly airport. They came and helped me get into my car and get my car keys, but it was an adventure all around. But I flew in, finally got there super late Wednesday night. Courtney came and picked me up from the airport. Thank you, Courtney. And I stayed in a room with Courtney and Rebecca, so that cut down on some cost for me, which was helpful. they like to be in line super early so we could get a table kind of on the edge of the room. If you were there, Courtney and Rebecca are my friends that have the rocking chairs, and they need a little more space. So we got in line, well, they got in line, they let me sleep in a little bit bright and early, and we were in line at 7 o'clock, and the doors opened at 10. So we had 3 hours to hang out and stitch and just have fun. So I got to see old friends. Like I said, Neil and Alex were right there, right next to us, which was so fun. And then saw Kristen again, who I had met at Nashville at Market. And it was really nice just to kind of ease into the experience. When you check in, then they gave you your goodies for this year. So you may have already seen these. If not, you can check these out. But we got a little phone or tablet holder that's branded for StitchCon. So that's a nice little gift. I'm going to take this to work and put it on my desk. We also got this really beautiful floss card thing. I don't know what you call these. It says "This Way to StitchCon 2025," which was the theme this year. And beautiful. They were all a little different. I liked this line of darker wood going through, so that was fun. They gave you your name tag. Now I had this pouch to put mine in, but you know, it says your name, where you're from, and if you have a Flosstube and an Instagram, that was all on there as well. And then they also, typically they give you some sort of a bag, and so this year we got these really nice coolers that are backpack style. They're huge. I mean, they're big, and it's got the straps for the backpack on the back. So that was a really nice, touch. I've got a couple StitchCon bags that I really enjoy, and this is a nice one too to use for a weekend or the beach or the swimming pool, wherever you're going. So I look forward to utilizing that as well. And then, you know, you find your seat. There's no assigned seats at StitchCon. There's plenty of chairs for everyone, so don't worry about you got to be the first in line. Everyone has a seat at a table somewhere. And so there's some groups like ours that, you know, we want to sit together. We know someone from another retreat or from another StitchCon. Others, you know, my first year I went to StitchCon, I didn't know anyone, and I sat at a table with other people that I met. Everyone is there for the same reason, and so there's no worry about are we gonna have anything in common? Well, of course you are. You're at StitchCon, you're all Stitchers, right? So really fun time. We sat down, we got settled, and then we just had a weekend of fun. There's a freebie table where we got to dig through stuff people had brought to swap and exchange. There's a brag table where you were able to put your things out and kind of brag about your stitching. And then there was a kind of a photo booth area, with a nice backdrop. So I'll put some pictures in as I'm talking about StitchCon today, but you can kind of see how it was. So just the thing of StitchCon, it feels like everybody is there and everybody's giving something all the time. There's lots of freebies given. There's lots of people walking around giving out little prizes and things. Friends gift things to friends. And so I've just got a slew of things here I wanted to show you that came from friends, from other places. I'm not going to show everything or talk about everyone, but I wanted to show you a few things here. So my sweet friend Alex, she gave me this cute little muslin bag with these really pretty scissors and a scissor sheath. And then of course there's some candy that I already ate. So thank you, Alex. At our table, I guess I should back up. So at the table, there was a group of 4 of us that had been going to StitchCon together for a while. So Courtney, Rebecca, Morgan, and myself. Courtney and Rebecca had met someone named Abby at a previous Keepsakes event. And so they said to Abby, if you'd like to sit with us, you can. So Abby was also at our table. She's an Ohio native, or lives in Ohio now. I'm not sure if she's a native, but that's where she is now. And then we also met Amy, and Amy was so sweet, and she has a Flosstube called Two Crossed Stitchers. She lives in New Hampshire, and so she had come with her friend Kara, and so they sat at adjoining tables, Amy at ours and Kara at another. So we had a great group of women, really fun to spend time with them. We were able to do different things with different parts of our group throughout the weekend. And so a couple of the little gifts and things that came from our table. So first of all, my friend Courtney, just out of the goodness of her heart, she had picked up for me I don't know if it was a Friday night fight night or what it was, but I had asked if she had any 46 count Be Stitch Me fabric, and she didn't, but then she bought me a piece. So she bought me this beautiful piece of coconut shell by Be Stitch Me. It's a little more modeled than what I was looking for a certain project, but I'm going to find a use for this because this is lovely. You can see it's just really pretty. Courtney is a big fan of Be Stitch Me, and so I was just tickled. So thank you, Courtney. So a couple things I found on the freebie chart. I found this chart by Earth Threads. This is called, well, I could tell you what it's called. Let's see. Autumn Sampler. I thought that was just super pretty. So pick this up. And then I also picked up this chart by Lottie Daw, and this is called By Her Hand. And actually someone, I think Morgan, had found this and said, this looks right up your alley. And actually, now that I look at this, let's see. This is stitched on Meadowlark by Birds of a Feather, which obviously is no longer made. But this fabric that Courtney got me could be a nice substitute. It'd be little. It'd be just a little guy. That'd be cute because this is really 103 by 117, so it'd be small on a 46. Look at me making plans. So this is really nice. Okay, sorry, like I said, I'm all over. So, Amy had also brought one day, she had gifts for us every day. It was amazing. She gave us these sweet hoops that you can use for like a decorative finish. It's got this nice little, hang tab at the top, so that was nice. She also one day gave us, I thought this was genius. It's 300 of these, I call them the light bulb safety pins, but they're in all different colors. So thank you, Amy. That was so nice. Excited to dig into those and have those in my stash. Courtney had found these, I think on Etsy maybe, and so it says cross stitcher. It's got a lot of different things on there, and everybody was a surprise what color you got. I happily got green, so that was sweet. Everyone got a different color. This was my table gift, and it's got a couple extras on it, but I had these frogs made. They're crocheted. They are vibrant with a little crown on them. And so I had received some counting pins over the weekend, so I stuck those in as like a little decoration. And then someone was passing out these really sweet little fobs that say "Rip It," so I tucked that on her too. I'm gonna put a link in the description box for the Etsy shop. Anastasia is her name. I met her here in Delaware. She lives in Delaware now with her family. She and her husband and 2 children moved to Delaware as refugees right after the war broke out in Ukraine. They're Ukrainian. So she now makes crocheted items. She also creates patterns and sells kits. And so she made these little frogs. And she'd be happy to make you anything you might want if you were interested. So I actually I sent her some pictures of a frog, and she came up with this. So these were a big hit. We got a lot of comments on them throughout the weekend. Just something fun for the table. Morgan had passed out this little pouch. It's got a magnet wand in there, a pen, and some chocolate from a local shop. So thank you, Morgan. Rebecca, how sweet, she had made each of us a cross-stitch. She cross-stitched our initial, and then she made these bags with these really cool rainbow zippers. So thanks, Rebecca. And she put some goodies in there. Okay, something else from that was a gift. Last year we had sat at a different table, and we had become friends with 2 women who were sisters who came to StitchCon, and this year they were there again. And I thought this was a genius idea, is that their table gift was a chart, and then it came with this pillow that on the other side has an opening, so when you stitch the chart, it just tucks right into the pillow and it's an instant display. So I chose this one because I thought that this was so cute with these little kids making the snowman. But you could put anything in here, and I just thought that was such a nice gift. So thank you, girls. When I tell you I have stuff all over the place over here. Okay, here's a special little story for you. When I lived in Nashville, I got to know a lot of people. We had a Nashville Stitch group that my friend Ryan runs, called the Music City Stitchers. And one of the women that attended that group, her name is Adrienne. and I've kept up with her, you know, on and off over social media. Hadn't seen her in a long time, but she happened to be at Weekend Bee this year. And when I tell you, Adrian is like the coolest person I know. She's always traveling, and she does these big events for her job, so she gets to go to cool places. But one of my favorite things about her, one of my stomach's favorite things about her, she loves to bake and cook, and she was always bringing the most delicious treats for our meetups. And so she came over this year, and she brought me the sweetest little gift, and she has this sweet little teacup with a saucer, and she made it into a little pin cushion. And so her little tag says, "I'm happy to be here stitching with you. It's definitely my cup of tea." And she had also included a bag of tea, which I already drank. And then she included 2 flosses, and the names tea and biscuits and cucumber, like a cucumber sandwich, which I think is genius. So this was a sweet little gift from Adrian. I'm so appreciative. The other thing you don't see, because I ate them the minute she gave them to me, is she gave me a couple of little cookies that she had made that were super tasty. So Adrian, thank you. It's a joy to know you, and I appreciate you thinking of me and making sure that I had something from you to take home. Some other freebie table things. Morgan was queen of the freebie table. She was so good. She found the Nativity Berry by Erica Michaels, and so adding that to my stash because, you know, obviously. And then another thing that I found, and I think this would be a fun smalls exchange piece, it's by Val's Stuff. It's a Happy Halloween 3D box kit. So, let's see, getting a glare, but it says Happy Halloween, and then it's got this bat and this pumpkin and this cat. It's a 3D box. And it's a full kit. It comes with everything you need. So I stitched some Val stuff before, but I thought this might be fun for a smalls exchange to put it all together for someone who likes Halloween. So anyway, I just thought that was a neat thing for the freebie table. So, all right, what else? I don't want to bore you. Lots of really cool things that people gave out this year. Someone had given out needle minders, and then they also made these little thread beds, so that was sweet. Someone had made these keychains. It's a 2025 with Ohio, and on the back it says StitchCon. It's super sparkly. I love sparkle. Someone had passed out it was from a Color and Cotton hank of misdyed, so they were giving everyone a big long piece of that, which I thought was a good idea. Let's see. This comes from the Southern Yankee Stitcher. She's done this before. She's passed out these little note cards. It says this picture of these sassy girls on it, and it says your vibe attracts your tribe. I think that's so true, and was happy to get some of these from her, so thank you. Misty from Mystic Fabrics, which is in Indiana, she was coming around. I thought this was genius. She would look at what you were stitching, and then she had needles, and she'd give you a corresponding size. So I got a size 28 needle because I was working on something small that day. And also she had a little flamingo in there, lots of different animals and critters, and a floss tag thing. My friend Neil had made 2 different zines, which I think is incredible. So one says Make Bad Art, Defiant by Design, and one is the Stitcher's Summer Solstice. Incredible. Neil and his cousin Alex have a Flosstube Stitcher's Hollow, and they were at the table. They were who we sat in line with, and they were at the table right next to us. So Neil, thank you. I met Jess from Sloan Stitches. She was making fobs, or she had a bunch of fobs that you could go pick up, and so I got this one. It says Stitcher. Super sweet of her. It was so nice to finally meet her in person. Okay, what else? Just a few more things I want to show you that I thought were clever. Someone was passing out these floss drops. They're hearts. I thought that was really nice. I don't remember who this was, but thank you. And then there was a table that was like the coolest table. They had 3 designers at their table, which is awesome. So the Stitch Crypt, Bad Stitch, and Fine Frog Stitching were all sitting at a table together, and it was so wonderful to meet the 3 of them, all of you, and you know, it's nice to put a face to a name, right? And or in the case of Bad Stitch, I was like, I don't know if I've heard of you, and then I realized I follow you on Instagram, and I really like this chart you've done, so that was kind of fun. So sweet to meet all of them. But I got a couple freebie charts. So this Night Snail which I think is wonderful. And then also this really cute bat, which I think is super, super fun. So check those designers out. Some of them sell hard copies to LNSs. My friend Jen at Floss and Flame sells from them. So if you need something, just let her know. But I think Bad Stitch is on Etsy for sure. So lots of places to find these designers, and it's fun to see how the cross stitch world is growing. And so yeah, lots more of the same, right? Some floss drops, some little dangly bits for your scissors or bags or whatever, but really a fun time. The other part of StitchCon that I love, and I think this is my last part of StitchCon before I get into what I've actually bought and my plans, is the Smalls Exchange. So this happens on Saturday. When you get there, you tell Pam, okay, I want to do the Smalls Exchange, and they have a system so that it's fair. And you bring something that's stitched, and then you go home with something that's stitched. And you package your item in a bag so the person picking it up can kind of know what the theme is. The only rule is that it's under 6 by 6, but people take that and they run with it. There were so many beautiful items stitched this year. So here's a picture of what I stitched. This was a chart from the April 2022 Just Cross Stitch magazine by KEB Creations called Easter Egg Trio. I just stitched the egg. I used the 36 count Milk and Honey by Fiber on a Whim, and used Classic Colorworks in the colors Amethyst and Blooming Crocus to get this design. I finished it as a flat egg shape and then put it in this sweet little Easter basket that I found at a thrift store. Also put in a couple other goodies. I had bought some caramel cream eggs at Easter time that don't expire until like August or September. So I put those in my bag, and I was really happy. My friend Dottie, who was stitching Scotty, she picked up my exchange piece. So she seemed really happy with it, and it was fun to say, hey, I stitched that, Dottie. So so that was fun. I was a very happy recipient of some beautiful things from Diane. Diane lives in Alabama, in a little town, Opelika, I think is how it's pronounced, outside of Auburn. And she made not just one, but two things for me. It was incredible. So she made this really sweet little pouch with this adorable reindeer and cardinal on the front. I mean, is this not amazing? This pouch is full of stuff, guys. There's a hoop in here, a scissor sheath, some candy, a little tin, some scissors. I mean, it's jam-packed. So I was thrilled. I said, this is adorable. But then I kept looking. There was also a needle book with this sweet little stocking stitched on it. So Diane, thank you. It was so nice to meet you. It was funny. I was telling my girlfriends, I said, stitchers are our own worst enemies, right? We, first thing I said to Dottie was, well, it's not great. It could have been better. And she's saying, it's beautiful. And the first thing Diane says to me is, don't look too closely. There's lots of mistakes. And I said, no, no, no. So, there's something special about stitching something for someone who also appreciates the art and the time that goes into it. And the exchange is one of my favorite parts of StitchCon. I've made some friends doing it that way, and I treasure those pieces as I pull them out throughout the year. So excited to use these right away. I love Christmas, and I just think this is so neat. So that was really exciting. Okay, what should we do next? I think we're gonna do purchases next, and then we'll do plans, and we'll do a giveaway. All right, so the first purchase I want to show you is something that's not cross stitch related, but it's related to my reading habit. And I am sad I don't have the name of this author, and it's escaping me right now. But several years ago, it was announced that the designer Kate Spade had died by suicide. And that really, I mean, that shook me. It always does when someone goes in that way. I don't have any Kate Spade. I've always, enjoyed the bags that I see, but it's not been something in my budget or in my interest to really purchase. But when someone so high profile goes in such in a way that has such ugly connotations attached, it's hard. It's hard for us to reckon with. I talked about Anthony Bourdain last time. All that to say, the woman who was her best friend, has recently released a book called We Might Just Make It After All, and it talks about her friendship with Kate Spade. And so I think I would like to read that. I have it on hold at the library. But she had also created a tote bag, and part of the proceeds from the bag were going to a suicide prevention or maybe a mental health organization. Now that I say that, I'm not sure which, but it had a charity aspect to it, and I like the tote bag, so I purchased the bag to support that mental health awareness. This is from the brand Frances Valentine, and so it's got this fun stack of books, and the pink one right here standing up is the book that the friend wrote. So I'm not being very eloquent in talking about this, but this is a beautiful tote bag. It had a good reason behind it, and I needed a new bag, like I needed nothing else. So, but I took this to StitchCon, had all my giveaways in it, and I don't know, I just really appreciated the sentiment and was happy to provide a little extra to an organization doing that good work around mental health and suicide awareness. Okay, so there is one thing I bought yesterday when I was down at Floss and Flame. That's another piece of fabric that I probably shouldn't admit to you or show you. So we're just going to pretend I didn't say that. StitchCon has shopping opportunities, obviously. We're stitchers. I think that's how we are. So you can take what they call the Stitchy Bus. It's a school bus that they've repurposed, and take that to the store itself and shop around. Rebecca offered to drive us there, and so we all piled into, well, it was actually 2 cars. So I rode with Morgan. We went over to Keepsakes and were able to shop. I wanted to get some fabric that I couldn't find at the annex. So, and then the other piece is the annex, which is kind of a side room at the convention center that Barbara and her team turn into a shop. They have so many trunk shows. I mean, I don't know, 40 maybe, because, you know, not everyone brings everything. So someone might just have a little stack of this over here, and that's one designer or one maker. And so you could buy anything at the trunk show. I mean, there were fabric, there was bags, there was charts galore, needle minders, floss. She had some scissors there. I mean, all kinds of goodies, right? And so the shopping opportunities were ample and very enticing. So, but I think I did, you know, fairly well given what my parameters were for myself this weekend. So I wanted to just show you some of the things that I got. So the first thing that I got was at Keepsake itself. I'm starting a chart on my birthday, and I'll talk more about that as it gets closer. My birthday is the end of September. And so I needed a piece of fabric that was actually a fat half. This chart is very wide and more narrow, so it's kind of like a horizontal orientation. And so I found this, and I really do enjoy Mystic Fabrics, and so I was happy that that's what this is. This is Mystic Fabrics. It's a 46 count linen in the color Time Worn. And so you can see there's a very slight modeling, but it's a nice cream color, or tan color. And so this will be really, I'm excited to get I think I'm going to do this with DMC, but to get those colors and do a floss toss and show you what that's going to look like come September. Something else, these are all just things that I bought while I was there. So there's a woman named Karen who goes by the name Nana K. She makes really beautiful bags, and so I found this watermelon bag that I think is adorable. And so it's just a nice size pouch. It's quilted on the inside and just beautifully made. So I don't know why I need this, but I saw it and I needed it. Every year there's a chart designed for StitchCon, and this year that was designed by Cecilia Turner from Heart and Hand. It was called Kindred Friends. And so here is the chart. And not only did they have the chart available, but they make it super easy for you. And they had all of the floss already put on cards for you, and then the fabric. So I was able to kit up that entire chart. And this is needle bling in the color Cookie Dough, a 32 count. So I never do this very well, but you get a sense of it'll be really nice. Oh, they also had these darling needle binders, and I had to get it. It's Keepsake's little cat, 310, with her notched ear. So I thought that was adorable. The other thing there, I picked up the latest and greatest, the Shepherd Frill by Heart and Hand. I want to stitch her nativity row, and I will add this into the row so that we can have the full gang in the nativity row. I've seen these kits before. I've never seen this one, and it's something that's close to my heart. So this is the Northern Lights Bear by Canadian Stitchery. The bear is provided. It is die cut, and so you stitch right on the bear, and excited to do this one. I don't think it would take very long. I did pick up a frame, a magnetic frame to hold your perforated paper. And so excited to use this. I've got some charts that I'd like to work on that are on paper, and you just slide it between the pieces and it keeps it nice and taut, and your my fingers get sweaty sometimes, and you hold the frame, your paper doesn't get messed up, so it's a plus. And then I also grabbed this color by Dames of the Needle, and this is a 28 count. The color is just blue gray. It's really official sounding. It's folded kind of funny, but it's just a dark blue gray. And I'm going to start another chart. This is for a chart by Jeanette Douglas that I will show you when I'm ready to start that. But I needed a 28 count piece of fabric, and this was the perfect color for that. And then, you know, I love bags. I love project bags. I've talked about that before. So this is a bag by a woman named Joan who lives in Arizona, and her company is Wick Quilting. I fell in love with this back fabric. I just think it's so pretty. But you can see on the inside, she actually quilts different shapes. So this has these big flowers. I thought that was sweet. So I got this project bag. But the most exciting thing for me about StitchCon this year was that my sweet friend Rebecca has started making bags and selling bags, and her bags are just incredible. She is really good with color and pairing things together, and so she had large bags and small bags available, and I purchased a couple. But the one I want to show you is this one. I was so excited because she had shown us her bags in April, and I had seen this one hanging in her craft room, and I was like, oh man, I really love that bag. So this is the front, right? The crayons, adorable. The lace, how nice. And then this sweet Disney characters, the outlines. But my favorite part of this bag, let's be real, is Rainbow Minnie Mouse. How cool is that? I love it. Pride Minnie. I just love it. So anyway, and then the neat thing about Rebecca is every bag has one of these loops on it, so you can hang it up or carry it however you want to use it. But her secret is that this loop shows you what the interior fabric is. So you don't have to open it to say what's in the inside, but I'm going to open it anyway and show you. So there it is. She put this nice gray on the inside, and then she always puts her logo right there. And so her company name is Prancer's Poinsettia, and she has an Etsy shop, guys. So go show her some love. I will put that I'll put the link to her shop in my description as well. But was super excited about this Minnie Mouse bag. The crayons are cute, but really it's the Rainbow Minnie that got me. And let me tell you, my daughter saw this and she was like, is that for me? And I had to say, no, it's for mommy. But really sweet. So Rebecca, congratulations. So that being said, I do have 2 of Rebecca's bags to give away to you. So I picked up the smaller size bags. And this is a great size. So I'm going to show you, like for one of these smaller charts, it's not going to fit a full page of paper, like a big chart, but these smaller charts, it's the perfect size. Or if you make a working copy, you could also put it in here. And so this first bag has this deep kind of purpley red on the inside, this beautiful green on the outside, and then this sweet floral on the back. So if you'd like to win this bag, use the word green in your comment, like the color green, and I will draw for this before my next episode, which will be at the end of July. And then the other bag that I got, I just couldn't pass it up. So I love Christmas. You all know that, winter holidays. So this really nice snowflake on the front is pretty red on the inside, but the back, guys, look at the back. It's a sweet repeating pattern, but they're X's. They're X's. How cool. So if you'd like to win this bag, use the word reindeer, and you could win this bag. Now, if for some reason the random picker tells me that the same person won both, I'm going to draw again. You can only win one. But use the word green or use the word reindeer. All the rules. Please don't use the word giveaway. You'll have to send me your address, so you'll need to be over 18. And if you're international, go ahead and you can enter. And if you're picked, I'll send that overseas to you. So congratulations, Rebecca. I encourage all of you to check out her Etsy shop. It's Prancer's Poinsettia. Her bags are really well made. She lives in Kentucky, real close to Cincinnati, and this was her first opportunity vending, and she did an awesome job. So bravo. All right, we are almost at the end, y'all. So let's see, we've got plans. So you might have noticed that I only talked about one Whip Go piece that I worked on in June, because that's true. I didn't get to the other one. So I still need to work on this one, and I still plan to. It just got away from me. But this is Santa Claus by Birds of a Feather. And I've got a 30 count in the color Chris's Bonbon with all of the called for weeks floss. So I'll get started on this guy. And this isn't one of the originals, but this chart is now available through Colorado Cross Stitcher. She has remastered this. You will notice that on her model, this is stitched on like a really minty tealy green color, not this dark. So if you're looking for it, that's why. And then the other two that were drawn for me, I don't remember the numbers. I never do. But I'm excited because it's been a long time coming for this chart. This is Beautiful Things by Lindy Stitches. It says, "Oh my darling, it's true. Beautiful things have dents and scratches too." This is a large piece. It will take me some time, but I've loved this ever since I came back to cross stitch. I saw it soon after, actually. I don't know. Yeah, copyright 2020. So she came out with this right around the time that I came back to stitching, and I have thought about it and loved it ever since. It is 217 by 172, so it's going to be large, but I just think it's so beautiful. So I had kitted this up. Actually, this tells you how long ago I've kitted this. This is I got this in Iowa when I was living in Iowa, and I'm doing this on a 36 count. I can't read what that says, but it's a nice, you know, creamy tan color. Real basic, and that's 36, and then I've got all of the called for flosses in this bag. So some DMC, some fancy floss, and excited to get that one going. And then the other one, first of all, can we talk about this bag? This was gifted to me by someone near and dear, and I just think it's so cute. I love pigs, so So this is the one that the other start that I'll have in July. I've loved this ever since I saw it, and this is Hannah Campbell 1838 by Hands Across the Sea. Another large one. That's funny how Whip Go came out to be two large ones this year, and this is 233 by 289. So big girl. I just think the colors are crazy and wild. I love all of the motifs. Yeah. It's Irish. I have Irish heritage in me, so I just thought it was touching. And so I kitted this up actually at StitchCon last year, and I told them, please choose a fabric. I am not picky, and so they gave me Fiber on a Whim. I don't think I have a color, so it's a surprise. But it's like this kind of mustardy brown with a little green in there. I think it's going to be lovely. This is a 40 count, and I am stitching this with all of the Veriswa 103s, which will be my first time. So I've got a bag of silks here. I've wanted to use these for a long time, and this felt like the right chart to do so. And so I'm excited to get those going and see how this chart works up. So If you haven't noticed already, I'm kind of an eclectic stitcher. I stitch a lot of different things. I stitch on all different counts, and I use all different types of floss. So yes, I like the bougie things like the silks and the fancy stuff, but I also am just as happy with maybe, you know, the things that people think of as not quite as fancy, right? So DMC is still a favorite. I still have a large collection that I use, and I just actually started a project, I don't have it here today, but on a 18 cal Aida. So I'm not just a linen or even weave stitcher. We had a big conversation about that this weekend, and I thought that was so interesting. So anyway, if you're here, I'm happy you're here, regardless of what you're stitching, regardless of, you know, what you think about what's important in stitching or not. Like, if you're enjoying the act of stitching, I think that's the most important. So that is all my stitching for you today. I do have some book talk. I know a lot of you expressed how much you enjoy that. So please stick around for that. But if you're just here for stitching, it's been almost an hour. Thank you for sticking with me. It's a joy to be here, and I appreciate you. So books. I wanted to talk real quick about books. I'm looking at the time because I have things to do that don't include Flosstube. But let me talk about books that I've been reading, books that I have read, books that I will read, you know, all the things, right? I'm still recovering from StitchCon, guys. It's been a week. So I had last time talked about a book that I had read called, I was currently reading it, called Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce. And I love that so much that I actually started the second book, and now I'm currently reading the third book in the series. So this is telling the story of a group of women and a few men in the 40s in England while World War II was happening. And so Dear Mrs. Bird started, the concept being that there was an advice column in a magazine called Woman's Friend, and this young girl goes to work for the advice columnist and realizes that women across the country are having more issues than just the kind of what shoes do I put with this skirt kind of problem, right? They're saying, my husband went away to war and I don't know how I can take care of my baby and survive, or I think that my husband is cheating on me, right? Like all these taboo topics that they didn't have anyone else to talk to. Or I'm having a really tough time. I just had a baby and no one's around to help me and I need help, right? And you think about it, women have had similar issues regardless of our technology, regardless of the time frame. And so this young woman takes it upon herself to maybe try to change how the magazine is handling these things. And so of course there's drama that happens throughout, and it's a war, so there's good and bad that happens. But the story stays in the same friend group and across the same kind of time span. And so I finished the second book called Yours Cheerfully. I gave that a 4-star, really enjoyed it. It was a little long in parts, but I liked the story, and I'm now currently reading the third, which is called Mrs. Porter Calling. And so I've really enjoyed this series. I've listened to it on audiobook. The narration is incredible. And so if you need a little bit of an escape, if you're not tired of World War II fiction, I would recommend. Another one that I read, I've got 2 contemporary romances for you. Both are a little spicy, so just keep that in mind. But the first was called Battle of the Bookstores. This is by Allie Brady. I really enjoyed this. It tells a story of 2 people that manage bookstores, and it was kind of a flip-flop of what you're used to. So the woman is managing the serious bookstore, right? She literary fiction is really her sweet spot. And then the gentleman is managing the romance bookstore that's 2 doors down, and there's a coffee shop between them. And so hijinks happen, and, you know, there's a competition between the 2, and, you know, will they fall in love? Will they won't? There's a lot of tension between them. But a sweet story, fun to hear all the literary references. And it was neat to see that the author chose to have a man running a romance bookstore. I think that this genre often is so coded for women and for female presenting people, and men and people that aren't women enjoy this just as much, right? So I give that 4 stars. But the best read I've had so far this summer, and it might be one of the best of this year, was called Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This was also, this was quite spicy. So open door, if you're, you know, just keep that in mind if you're aware, wanting to be mindful of that. But a really sweet story. This girl moves to New York to apartment sit while some renovations are happening. And she's living next to, on the penthouse level of this apartment building, a gentleman who is incredibly rich. who she met years ago, and he was very rude to her, and she thinks he doesn't remember her, and of course he does, and of course he loves her, and of course they're gonna fake date all summer, and then they're gonna cut it off, and all the tropes. Just add them all on, one after another. But you guys, this was so good. It was so good. I loved it so much and was rooting for them all the way to the end. Happily ever after here. I'm not ruining anything. The book is just, I just really enjoyed it. It's based in New York City. Fun to see some of those parts of the city be talked about, and just really sweet. So 2 romances I really enjoyed. The other book that I finished in the last month was called The Correspondent. This was by Virginia Evans. This was written the story was told through letters. So I listened to this as an audiobook, which I think it was good, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had read it actually words on the page. I was a little lost sometimes about who said what and where are we, and is this a letter, is this an email, or is this a diary entry? I was confused. But if you enjoy epistolary novels, one of my favorites is an old book called Dear Daddy Longlegs. If you've also read 84 Charing Cross Road, I'm trying to think of other epistolary books, but this one was in the same vein. I really enjoyed it. There was grief, there was love, there was loss. This woman is older, and she's the correspondent. She has written all her life, and so she writes to people of different parts of her lives. She writes to complete strangers. She writes, she makes friends with a gentleman who's a customer service agent at this company. Like, it was so fascinating to watch a story be told only through the letters sent to and from someone. I gave this 4 stars. I think part of that too was my experience on audiobook versus an actual written copy. But I would recommend The Correspondent if you were looking for something maybe a little different. So currently, like I said, I'm reading the next in that series about World War II called Mrs. Porter Calling. Currently reading that one. And then next on my list, I have The Antidote by Karen Russell. This takes place in Nebraska, which is part of the reason I'm so excited to read it. It talks about the Dust Bowl, and I can't tell based on the synopsis if it's supposed to be like current times as another Dust Bowl, or if this is actually set during the Great Depression era. But I've heard a lot of great things about this. I see this on displays at bookstores all the time, and I'm excited to get that one started. And then one that I just heard about from a friend, thank you, Marilyn. This is a nonfiction called Chesapeake Requiem, written by Earl Swift. And it tells the story of Tangier Island, which is in the Chesapeake Bay. I don't know my geography over here very well. But talks about how the island, not only is the land mass of the island shrinking, but the culture of the island is disappearing, and fishermen. And she's reading it. My friend Marilyn is reading it as part of a book club with a historical society, I believe. But as she talked about it at dinner the other night, I was like, I gotta read this. It sounds fascinating. So I'll take a chance to learn more about the area in which I live, and excited to check this one out. So I'll let you know what I think. And then I didn't make it to book club this month. I just didn't get the book read, and I was really exhausted. It's been busy from coming back from StitchCon. So I have that Immortals book to read soon. But the one for July's book club is called Sandwich by Catherine Newman. This is another that I've seen all around, and I believe it's in reference to this woman as a sandwich caregiver, which hits close to my heart. I work in the space of caregiving policy and program administration for the state of Delaware, and really am mindful of the role that caregivers play, not only in caring for older adults, but also for any adult that has a disability or a need. And so I'm excited to see what this looks like. I also foresee a time for myself where I will be a sandwich caregiver, caring for my child and my parents. And so I think that I'll be curious to see how that plays out in this book, if at all, or if it's just a cheeky nod to the term. So those are my books, fast and furious. I've heard from a lot of people this weekend that my book talk is just as exciting as my stitching, and I appreciate that. I love that feedback, and I appreciate you being here and listening to my ramblings. If you have something that you think I should read, stick it in the comments. I love a good recommendation, and I love the library, so it doesn't cost me anything often to read the books you recommend. So anyway, I am here saying thank you for being here with me. I will be back at the end of July with another update and episode with some new starts, hopefully for you. And until I see you then, please stay cool, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and happy stitching.